Here's an example of how you'd refresh child UX containing a list based on its parents' selections of two other lists. So here we have a parent object, parent UX, and it's got a couple of list controls on here. They're identical list controls. It doesn't matter. They're just returning the same thing, a customer ID. And here's an embedded child object. And we'll go and look at the child object first. It's got a field that we've created. It's not bound. It's hidden right now, and it's going to be holding the customer ID. So in this particular case, it's numeric, and I just call it current customer ID. Here's our list of customer invoices, and we can forget this button. So the list of customer invoices holds an invoice ID, customer ID, which we're going to use. And the arguments for this specific list is that we're going to set an argument that I created called arg_cust_id. We're going to set that at runtime, and it's going to be the value of whatever's inside cur_cust_id, which is our hidden field right here. So that's all that needs to happen. There's nothing else going on in here. And we'll come back to our parent object. Now, in the parent, regular stuff, I'm pulling information from the TWheel customers table, and I'm returning a customer ID. So that's important, and I'm doing that for both of the lists. In fact, the code and the setup for both lists is identical. So let's go to our list events. There's nothing in here. Yeah, there's nothing in the layout that's specific. In list events on the onClick event, we're going to grab the child object. So we've given, just pop back out here for a sec. Here's our embedded object, and I've given it a component alias called embedded. Didn't want to do that. Called embedded cust invoices. So that's our component alias for the embedded UX component. We'll come back in here into our onClick event. So we're going to do a get child object on the embedded cust invoices, and it is UX, although that's default, and put it in anyway. So we're setting up a variable called C object. So that's our object. C object dot set value. So we're going to set the value of our hidden field on our child object called cur_cust_id. So we're doing a set value into cur_cust_id for this dot value. This dot value is going to be our current customer ID passed back from our list. And then we're going to do a C object dot refresh list data on the list in our embedded UX component. So this code is running as well in our second list. If I look at list events here, you'll see this is exactly the same thing. It's no different. Grabbing the child object, setting a value on the child object field for this dot value, refreshing the child object list. And so let's go and run this now. When it opens up, of course, the child object hidden field is going to be empty, so there are going to be no invoices showing. But as soon as we click on something in here, so there's all our customer ID 1 invoices, and I'll go over to our list, customer list number 2, and I'll click on Sally, and she's only got 1. And I'll go over here and click on Janet, and she's only got 1 invoice as well. And I'll come back to our customer list number 2, and of course we have 2 there. So it's all based on that hidden field and just passing information from either of these two, grabbing the child object, which is this one, our lower UX component, and refreshing the list. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Now, taking this a little bit further, as in most things with Alpha, you can get this done a couple of different ways. So let's think about doing this without needing an extra control on the embedded UX component. To do that, let's have a look at what we've got going on now. So there's our original customer lists, 1 and 2 now. We've added a third customer list, and if we jump over into our embedded object, what we've got here is we've added another customer invoices list. we still have our embedded, rather our hidden control here. So this hidden control is going to feed this customer invoices list, but customer invoices 1 is not going to be fed by that. Instead, let's take a look at this. It's got this argument set up because all lists use the same arguments, but you'll see that there's no filtering going on in this list whatsoever. So what we're going to do is we're going to filter this from the parent. So let's just save that, and then we're going to come back here. So this is going to be list this embedded list customers 1 is going to be filtered from list customers 3 in our parent. So let's see how we've done that. Let's look at what's different. We'll go into our list events again. Now, we're still going to get a pointing to the child object, so that's fine. But this time we're not going to do any set values and refresh lists. Instead, what we're going to do is set up some parameters so that we've got a parameter called this value, and we're feeding it into an argument called whatCustID. And then we're going to do a C object, because we've got our object to our child object, dot underbar filter list, and there's the name of our list in our embedded child UX, where customer ID, or cust ID in this case, which is the field name in the list cust invoices 1. So where cust ID is equal to what cust ID, which is this value set up here, and we're assigning that to param, so we're just passing in the params at this point. So that's the code for filtering from parent to a child UX component and a list in there. So if we have a look to see how this runs, now the difference here is, now you could overcome this as well, is that this customer invoices list will be rendered with data because we're not filtering it on anything. Now if you wanted to filter it on something, that you could set that up as well and just filter it on a dummy value so that nothing would display. So let's go back to our original list. So there's customer list 1, which is feeding a hidden control in here, and this list is based on that hidden control. Customer list 2 is feeding the same hidden control, and this is being filtered on the same hidden control. But now if we want to filter this, so we're setting up a filter directly, and you see it, the speed is exactly the same. So really it's up to you how you want to do this. Doing it this way saves you setting up a control on the embedded UX. Either way is valid as far as I'm concerned. So thanks for having a look.